How we doing? My name is Ryan B. Hebert, and welcome to Series 7 Teams and Cores. Today I've got a special guest with me, MandoVGC, otherwise known as Allan. Allan, how we doing?
Pretty good, man. Had a long day at work, but we're here now. Just chilling. How you doing today?
I'm doing well, Allan. Thank you so much for being here. I truly appreciate you taking the time out of your day, work day, that sort of thing. It's a Monday here as we're recording. So, Allan, tell us a little bit about yourself. Who are you in VGC? What are you doing in real life? And who are you?
Yeah. So pretty much, my full name is Allan Martinez. I go by Mando. You can follow me on Twitter and Twitch at MandoVGC. And I'm from Southern California. I first got into Pokemon like as a little kid. I've been like playing like ever since. Been hooked on it. Yeah, like I go to the tournaments whenever I can. Well, at least when we had them, and then I'd go to regionals and I would compete to go to the World Championships. And since then, it's been a a real blast, just like traveling around the world and like getting to meet new people and hanging out with like friends from all over the world.
Well said, Allan. I think that's my favorite part about playing Pokemon too, is that it's truly the people we meet and the travels that we are able to take while also playing a fun video game. Well, I should rephrase that. Sometimes a fun video game. RNG sometimes
Oh
does
yeah,
not make it fun.
sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes you question why you're playing this game, and then other times you're like, oh man, I'm on top of the world, But getting into the game itself, Allan, Series 7 has proved itself to be a very exciting format. Lots of different teams, lots of different cores. Before this video, I asked you if you had a favorite team or core, and you had an interesting response for me. So, Allan, do you have a favorite team or core?
I do not actually, and there is a good reason for that. Since like this has been going on since like series one, I believe, where like the series like shifts like every like couple months, and so you're not really like able to build like a solid like team that can function throughout like all these series. Like for the beginning of like the first couple series, like you could get away with that. Like there was like a couple cores with like Dragapult, Togekiss, and like stuff like that that could like function in like series 1 through 4, I believe. And then series 5 came and then that shifted like that changed a lot. Like new Pokemon got added and different cores and like ideas like were built, and so you had to like I feel like you had to adapt then, and it kind of feels the same here. Where there's like a lot of new Pokemon. There's like the return of like the top rules, just like Landorus, Thundurus, and like there's all these other mons that are like very good, as well as like new additions like Regieleki and like Glastrier.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like I've had a hard time like adapting and like finding like a team or style that works for me. Like I feel like I'm like a mad scientist right now, where I just like create like the first thing that comes to my mind, and I just run it at tournaments. So like I played with like Sun, I played with like a soak team like at the beginning of the format, and I've also played with Reggie Drago actually like very recently in the Go UX9 tournament.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like nothing has like nothing has clicked for me. There's nothing that I've found that I like. Like, yeah, I could do like decent with like some teams, but it's just nothing. There's nothing that resonates with me the way that Kyogre Ho-Oh did in Sun and Moon series, or say Tapu Lele and the Crowsman Ultra series. Like those resonated with me very well, and I've had a hard time finding something that like feels the same way for me.
Restricted formats are able to centralize around the legendary Pokemon, especially when there's a cap of 2 of them per team. And I found a lot of success in those previous formats as well compared to the current formats. And so I totally agree with you there, especially since they're changing the format so frequently. I think a common, 50-50 problem that TPCI's tried to solve right now is the VGC community before was only changing up their format once a year with a new game. The TCG, the card game, as we know, has frequently been changing their format every 3 months when the new set comes out. And so we have Sword and Shield come out. They plan to release a couple DLCs, and there's lots of fun things they can do in terms of like releasing certain Pokemon in the game at certain times. And so we've seen them sort of experiment by doing different series here, but some of these series have not lasted more than a month at a time, and so that can be extremely difficult to try to like team build every single series to find a new team to try to play as consistently as the last series. And so I find that myself, yourself, and many other players are consistently trying to find a constant through all of this. And so you're definitely not alone in wanting to have some type of longer series. And I think Series 7, weirdly enough, has been able to do that, because correct me if I'm wrong, I think this series started at the beginning of November and it's going until the end of January, which means that most likely the qualifiers for Players Cup 3 are going to be in this Series 7 format before we switch over February 1st. And so there's a lot of questions as to whether those qualifiers are going to be played in this current series, since it falls within that window. But we'll see what they say when the qualifiers get closer in a month after the holidays here. But overall, I agree with you. The series are short, and it forces players that sometimes may be used to finding more consistent teams over a longer period of time at many like tournaments as well. And that, you know, that's another weird thing about 2020 is that with COVID, we've taken away all our IRL tourneys where we were able to go test out teams in person and go see our friends and that sort of thing. Because there's no doubt that a tournament in real life is much different than that of an online tournament because, well, for so many different reasons. But speaking of older formats, a lot of people have been mixing it up with GS Cup. And before we got on this video, you were watching a little bit of Ashton Cox's stream where he was playing a little GS Cup. Are you excited for a potential GS Cup if it doesn't come in Series 8, maybe Series 9 or Series 10 in the coming year?
Yeah, I think GS Cup is pretty fun. Like I used to hate GS Cup just because of I was like one of those like or like using legendaries, you're very cheap. I used to be like one of those like people, but like over time, like I learned to like that I have to like adapt and like with these mons, you know, because they're like so good. They're just like centered around them, and so like I've just come to like grow as a player just by adapting to that.
Mm-hmm.
So surprisingly, GS Cup is where I've had my best results. So I'm pretty down to see that again. Maybe play with like Ho-Oh, just like a backmoon series. I think that'd be pretty cool.
I know a lot of people have been testing with it, so there's a lot of potential there.
I haven't actually dived into GS Cup myself, so I'd probably be like just like a little rookie again. But it'd be cool to like just try stuff out and see what works. I feel like it might be the same, just because all these mons are getting added back into the mix again.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's part of the journey, I guess.
Well, with the lack of mega Pokemon and the question of whether the primals are going to get their red and blue orbs, that does beg the question of whether or not the Ho and Weather trio is going to be as dominant in a GS Cup if they don't get those items, because as we know, Groudon loses its ability to get fire typing, and the primals don't have their primal weather, especially in a time where, you know, people have been using weather quite a bit in Series 7 especially, and in some prior series as well, most notably with Charizard on Sun teams, and in Series 5, Kingdra was also pretty popular too, so Rain, and then obviously earlier Series 1 through 4, we saw the rise of Sand, T-Tar, Excadrill, just completely taking over the format again and again. Overall, GS Cup is going to prove itself to be a very interesting and fun format. Whether or not we have Dynamax at the same time, who knows? We'll find out. All we know is that +2 Xerneas with Dynamax is sort of ridiculous, sort of broken, that sort of thing. So, Allan, I just want to thank you for taking the time to come on to the video today. I truly appreciate it. Any final things to say to the viewers here as we're introducing you to the series? I hope to have you back here soon for another video to do another collab.
Oh yeah, definitely, man. I'd be down to join you again, man. Thanks for having me. First of all, it was pretty nice to just kind of share my thoughts about like the format. I do think that they sped through like these formats like really quickly. Like we went through so much formats in like a year,
Yeah.
which could have like all these series could have lasted like a couple of months longer, and then we'd have like all these fresh formats that would have time to like build and develop. But I mean, it is what it is, you know. Some have adjusted better than others. Some are still struggling to find what works for them, and I believe that's okay. I mean, they're just online tournaments, you know. The real thing is once live events come back, we'll see who comes out on top and all that kind of stuff, you know.
I know it's going to be very interesting to see where people land when live events come back, because what these online events have been able to do, arguably, is bring a lot of players that have not been able to travel due to money, or maybe they're not completely old enough to be able to travel, but they're old enough to have their own console and play online. You know what I mean? So I think there's a greater level of accessibility to a broader stroke of players with the online access that, you know, through Players Cup and through grassroots tournaments, that sort of thing. But when the real tournaments come back and the circuit gets started again, we'll see what they keep on doing and how the formats are going to be going. And I mean, there's been lots of rumors about whether or not we'll still have Sword and Shield as the main game. I mean, you know, the 25th anniversary is coming up next year, and so that begs the question, is there going to be another new mainline Pokemon game? Since, you know, we had one in 2019, we've had a couple DLC come out already. Like, what's next? There's always got to be a next step, and it's going to be interesting to see if we get the Diamond and Pearl remakes that fans have been begging for, or if we're going to get something completely new, or, you know, Sword and Shield 2. Yeah. You never know, right?
Probably not Sword and Shield 2. Probably not Sword and Shield 2.
I hope not.
I would
I'm
prefer
pretty.
a Diamond and Pearl remake.
Yeah, I would like to see a Sinnoh remake, especially knowing how beautiful those games were. Can you imagine? Imagine this, Allan. Can you imagine digging underground in bases with your friends again on Switch? Like, how cool would that be?
That would be pretty fun. That would actually be pretty fun. But I have another proposal for you. Maybe,
Go for it.
just maybe, we actually get the Battle Frontier back.
Ooh,
That would be really sick.
yeah. The loss of the Battle
That was
Frontier.
my favorite thing.
Yeah. What about it made
That
it
was,
your favorite?
my favorite thing as a kid. It was just like all these extra challenges that like they would add to like the game, you know.
Mhm.
I didn't really play like in Emerald because like I was like little, so I wasn't really that good.
Yeah.
But like once I like played Hard Gold Soul Silver, I was hooked on the Battle Frontier. Like I wanted to like clear like and get like the gold like stamps and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I never got to like clearing it. I only cleared it like the first time, and then so I went back to Emerald and I cleared all the like the factories and stuff. Like
Yeah.
and it's fun. It's fun.
Well, Allan, thank you so much for coming on here today. Once again, truly appreciate you stopping by. Folks, be sure to follow Allan here, MandoVGC on Twitter, on Twitch as well. Super talented creator, wonderful guy in the community, especially if you're in SoCal. If you see him in an IRL event, say hi to him. He's a really solid dude. And you got to see the mustache in person. I mean, come on. You got to see the mustache in person.
I mean, I don't think it's that great, but I mean, people tell me it's great, so I'll take you guys' word for it.
It's definitely solid. Folks, thanks so much for tuning in to Series 7 Teams and Course. We'll be back with some more creators real soon, but for now, how we doing? Stay tuned.